Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. As I said before, the revolution will not be televised. So if it's televised, it's not a real revolution, really. Good morning. I'm John Hall, and I'm John Hall. Today is election day, and if you haven't voted yet, you still got time. So get out there and vote. This has been very, very interesting to me. You have folks on one side who say, go vote, exercise your right, vote like your life depends on it. Well, I'm going to disagree with that statement for a little bit. Like my life depends on it. God has my life in his hands. So whether I cast a vote or not, which I voted anyway, it doesn't matter. But I want folks to understand this. We as African Americans, we had a right to vote with the 14th Amendment. We got that. What the Voters' Rights Act of 1965 did is protect our right to vote. And if you got something that's protected, then you go out and use it. But as late, you've had folks who got on here, or so-called conscious folks, who've gotten on here and told you your vote doesn't count, this doesn't count, this and that, or whatever in the third. I'm going to tell you something. If you are, if you say that you are an American, now the conscious folks going to tell you we're people from Africa and whatever. But if you was born right here in the United States, in one of the 50 states, then hello, genius, you American. Whether you want to deal with it or not, you are American. Okay? Whether you was born in the 49th state, the 27th state, the 12th state, or whatever, you're an American. Now, you don't always have to agree with what everybody else agrees with. You have a free mind, you have free thought. But let me tell you something. Exercise your free thought. You got people coming on here like Dr. Boyce Watkins, who I'm the most intelligent black man in the world. Bullshit. Okay? Let me tell you straight up. Just because you have your PhD in economics. Hallelujah. If you're not out here using that economic degree to help your people, then kiss my ass. Folks have the right to think the way they want to think. Now, we have Ice Cube's contract with Black America. Pretty much like the same contract that Newt Gingrich had when Newt Gingrich had a contract with America. No different. As the word of God says, there's nothing new under the sun. What you did, somebody already did it. We all have piggybacked off of somebody else. Whether we want to believe it or not, we have. But this contract with Black America, Dr. King brought that by. A. Philip Randolph brought that to
Who is it?
America.
Huh? Hold on, Sean.
He brought that to America. When he wanted to have the first march on Washington in 1943. But the Roosevelt administration stopped him and said, hey, look, we're going to give y'all these jobs.
Thank you so very much for interrupting my screen with your phone call. Thank you so very much. So I had to rush to get off.
Because I don't know if stores are closing early or if any of
So,
them are closed because of this voting thing. So I'm trying to get this
I
done.
know.
I'm sorry.
Thank goodness I was trading for 2 hours.
so
sorry.
we have to understand
I'm
this
sorry, Sean.
very, very carefully.
The time going back, got my time off.
It's because while I was gaming,
We have to be very focused on how we're thinking.
that means I'm gonna take my seat.
I'm pausing for the calls. Thank you. We have to be, that's okay. We have to be very, very careful. People have promised us, we've had presidents that have promised us there will be a chicken in every pot, a car in every garage. And some of the most, I mean, if you listen to, you had the New Frontier, John F. Kennedy, the Great Society, LBJ. I forgot what Nixon's slogan was. I was a little kid, so I didn't know. Yeah, Jimmy Carter had a slogan. President Obama had hope. Every person has came out and put out their spiel. Now, I always believe that if you want something, you demand for it. If you want a great marriage, you demand a great marriage. You demand things. You don't ask for them, you demand. If that person stood in front of you, stood in front of God and you and a bunch of people and said, I'm going to do this, this, and this, that's what you demand. You don't ask for nothing, you demand it. And this is what I don't care who is the president, you demand it. We sat back and we thought for 8 years of Obama, we didn't demand a damn thing. And we thought just because President Obama was black, that he was supposed to do everything for us. That's where you need to take your civics lesson. The lawmakers are the ones we demand to do things for us, to make laws that are going to help us move forward or backwards. However, the president is just an executive figurehead. He signs off on it if he thinks it's good. If he doesn't think it's good, he tell you you might need to work on it. While I say it again, while we were arguing and figuring out things, this slick rascal that we have in office right now was going around the corner, passing certain things, bringing in certain people who are going to have an impact on how things are done later on. Trump appointed 200 judges. None of them had experience. None of them. Majority of them hadn't even filed a legal brief. Majority of them never even seen the inside of a courtroom. And this is what we were dealing with. And this is what we're still dealing with. Voting is because you get to pick the judges that are sitting over these cases. You get to pick the DAs who are prosecuting these things. You get to pick the people who are making your laws. You get to look at the referendums. Let's take it. If they had bus service, school bus service going out in your neighborhood, well, you don't vote. You don't give a damn. They take away that bus service. How are your children going to get to school? Then you're going to be the main one complaining, I got this weird scared driving my child to school back and forth when they could have got a bus. When you could have got up off your ass and voted and kept that bus out there. When you could have got up off your ass and made sure your child got a warm meal at school. These are things that are more important We elect the president every 4 years. Every 4 years, we elect somebody. Judges sit for life. DAs may sit for 30 years, like what happened in Ferguson, Missouri. That dude was a DA for 30 years. He'd been doing all manner of things to people of color. But people just left him on the ballot, unopposed. This is your chance today to say, you know what, bruh? This is your chance to say, you know what Donald Trump used to say when he wanted to get rid of somebody? He used to say what? You're fired. But this is your day to say, you know what? Yeah, you had 4 years. Now you're fired. This is your day to get out there and say, you know what? Get rid of this dude. Get rid of these people. If you haven't been to the polls, get your ass up and go to the polls. And if you have, just sit back. It doesn't matter who's in the Oval Office or who's in the governor's mansion or who's whatever. God is still on the throne. And he controls everything. But what I want y'all to believe is use your own mind. Don't listen to Killer Mike or Lil Wayne or 50 Cent. Once upon a time, they were where you were. And if it wasn't for you, they wouldn't be where they are. Nobody would know who they are. And if you base your thing on Kanye West or all these other people, then you are a sad person. You need to get more savvy. You need to get more stronger. You need to say, you know what? This is my vote. This is my decision. And I'm going to make it this way. And I'm going to live with the reaction that I get. I don't care, like I told you, I don't care if you vote for Trump or Biden. You vote where you go. Because I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, and you're damn sure not going to tell me who I'm going to vote for, or tell me about who I voted for. That's my damn business. But I remember the people that came in front of me, who raised me, and that means something to me. So if you didn't vote, or you talking about, I ain't gonna vote because it don't matter, or you crying about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is a fundamental right. And let me explain something to you, simpletons, what a fundamental right means. It is a part of life. You have the right to bear arms, but you have a responsibility to make sure that you do the right thing with that arms. You have accountability. You be accountable for your actions. Nobody's trying to take your damn guns away. And you're mad because I can't put a bump stop on my rifle. What the hell do you need a bump stop for? Those are assault rifles. Those are rifles I used in the military. What you going to kill? You don't need an AR-15 to hunt rabbit. If you can shoot, you can shoot. You can use a bow and arrow and get a rabbit. Native Americans did it for years. Free speech is a fundamental right, but you don't run into a crowded theater and yell fire when there isn't one. You got all these people running around YouTube talking about they're going to take away my Second Amendment rights. They're going to take away my guns. Nobody's going to take away your gun. Now, if you use it irresponsibly, yeah, you don't need one. They just want you to be responsible. That's why I didn't vote for Obama. Obama was against guns. No, he wasn't. He just wanted sane, responsible, and accountable folks to have him. If you'd have slapped your wife around and caused all type of mischief, do you think you need a weapon? Let's look at some of these shootings. If the Air Force would have caught this certain gentleman, he wouldn't have went to this church and damn near killed the whole congregation. If this guy was so responsible in Pittsburgh, these people would have been killed in the synagogue. If somebody looked at Dylan Roof, 9 people in South Carolina would be living right now.
Somebody looked at George Zimmerman, his ass would have been on the street.
If somebody looked at Michael Dunn, Jordan Davis would be alive today. If somebody looked at the young man down in Fort Lauderdale, 17 students would have probably been on their way to college or somewhere. Florida had what was called the Baker Law. Still have it. If a person is unstable or not well, they go in, they take their guns from them, and they put them in confinement for 72 hours for evaluation. The young man, the police was called to his house 39 times. 39 times. A black man can't get the police called to his house one time. And if he does and he had a gun, most likely he ain't gonna end up going nowhere anyway. He gonna end up going to the funeral home anyway. 39 times. They got films of this young man brandishing guns in people's face. He was the right color. Because let that been a black man brandishing his gun all around, he'd have been a dead man. We got to think fundamental, like the right to vote is a fundamental right. It's in our Constitution. The right to a speedy trial is a fundamental right. Folks, we need to really do our study on what's fundamentally ours any damn way. Every time we look up, we got somebody trying to suppress us, don't want us to vote, don't want us to have a gun, don't want us to have free speech, don't want us to have shit. We yap about Biden and Trump. Do your history on Trump. He's privileged. Trump ain't never worked an 8-hour job a day in his life. A day in his life. He wouldn't know what it was to work if work came up and slapped him in his damn face. Say, hey, I'm work. I ain't gonna do that. Joe Biden, on the other hand, well, father was working in the steel mill industry in Pittsburgh and Scranton, lost his job. They had to move to Delaware. They had to get by how they had to get by. But you have some people who look like me. Trump really cares about it. Trump don't care about nobody but himself. And he wants to get attention. Look at the man's life. It said his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, said that black people are always crying and fussing about what they didn't get. They're lazy. They always want somebody to give something to them.
Good morning. I'm gonna have to call you after our scheduled time. I have something that I have to take care of this morning that's majorly important. Is that okay? All right, so as soon as I get in the house, I will call you back.
Jared Kushner sat there and opened his mouth and said that black people should be thankful for his father-in-law. That black people don't are always complaining. Black folks, they should accept what his father-in-law has given them. Well, I guess that's real nice, Jared, if you grew up privileged. Another privileged child, another privileged person tell something to a person that had to work for it. Jared Kushner didn't have to work for a doggone thing in his whole doggone life. He was a trust fund baby. All he had to do was wake up and go where he had to go. Jared Kushner is probably more qualified to talk about hard work. He's no qualified than a Kennedy. A Kennedy ain't gonna tell you about hard work because they never had to do it. When you were born in privilege, you didn't have to do much of anything but exist. Listen to the message, but watch where the message is coming from. Watch where the message. If the message is coming from a privileged person, then you might need to work on your thinking a little bit. Because if you went to private schools all your life, you got to go on vacations, you got to dine in the finest places, then you don't understand about a person who grew up in the projects. You don't understand about a person who lived hand to mouth. America is supposed to be united. Hopefully, we'll get some unity after tonight. Hopefully. With 250,000 people, almost 250,000 people dead from a virus that we could have contained, or the millions of people who are out of jobs right now, who are out of work right now, and a million people who thinking, what's going to happen? You might want to go vote. You might want to consider that. You might want to consider, is America really worth it or is it not? That's your choice. I can't make it for you. Okay?